Hi techies, welcome back to ElfinCode. Those who are new to this channel, please do subscribe this channel and like the video, hit the notification button. So today we are going to start with a new playlist on design pattern, which we will try to implement it using Python language. And as a first video in this playlist, we are taking up the simplest design pattern, which is a singleton design pattern. Now, what exactly this singleton design pattern is? Now let's consider consider the class where you have a requirement which tells that you just need only one object to be created at any given point of time. So if there's another developer who's trying to create another object of the same class, then it should be giving the reference of the first object which was created earlier. Okay, so at any given point of time, only one object should be active. So if there's a kind of need of such kind of pattern, then we can implement those kind of requirement using singleton design pattern. Okay, so this video is also bifurcated into two part. One is theory part, the other part is a practical part. So we'll first see what are the properties of the singleton design pattern and all those things, and then we will move to the practical part of the singleton design pattern. Okay, so I'm proceeding with the next part, which says what are the different properties of singleton design pattern. So the first one say that it ensures a class has only one instance. As I was telling that if you try to create another instance of a class, then the first instance which was created earlier, that reference will be given to the second, third, fourth, and any subsequent object if you try to create. So it will give you only one instance. Maybe the developer must be thinking kind of, he created one object obj1, obj2, but ultimately the obj2, obj3, obj4, all this object will be having only one reference, okay, which is the first reference when the object was created for this particular singleton class. Okay, now the second thing, it says that it provides global point of access to that instance, which says that let's suppose you have multiple modules in your in your framework, then all this multiple module will be having only one instance to your singleton design pattern class. Okay, so it might have different modules, but whenever each module tries to create a instance for this singleton class, then it will be getting the reference of the only single class object. Okay, so these are the two properties which are which are very particular to this singleton design pattern. As I go to the practical, it will be more clear. Okay, so let us go to the next part where we say, where we can use this singleton pattern. Okay, now consider, the very first point tells that need to control the access to shared resources. Okay, so I'm taking this as a example of database connectivity. Okay, now you have a database, you want to create a kind of class and an object which will be connecting to the database. Okay, now you know that connection from Python to database takes a little extra time. Okay, so now let's consider you have multiple module in your application and each module try to create a new connection, okay, to the database, then it will take more time. So what we can do, we can have one singleton class, okay, which is a kind of connection class to the database. Okay, so you create a object, okay, create an object which is connecting to the database, and that object reference will be shared among all different modules in your application. So every time the other module try to create a object to connect to the database, it won't be creating a new instance. Instead, the one which is existing will be given the new object which the another module is trying to create will get the reference of that instant which was created earlier. Okay, so the same reference will be shared across all the different module in your application. Okay, now the second part it says that managing global configuration setting. Okay, now consider again, you have a configuration file which is holding a lot of configuration information related to your application. Okay, now let's suppose you have a configuration class which is used to read all this configuration information. So here also what you can do, you can create a class, kind of singleton class, which will be having all the method used to read the configuration setting and do any kind of manipulation on the configuration setting. And whenever there's a module which is trying to create a configuration file connection, it will first, at the first time, it will create that configuration file class instance, and all other module will be using the same reference to read the value of the configuration setting files. Okay, similarly with the logging, caching, thread pool and all. So all these are different kind of resources which we use in our system. I mean, whenever we are creating any kind of system, these are the standard resources which are always there. Okay, so for all this kind of resource management, this singleton class pattern is a kind of um, is the best implementation strategy. Okay, where you create one instance of the class, and then that instance will be shared across all your different module in your application. Okay, now let us see what are the key component of the singleton class. Now if you see this small example, what it says that it has a kind of private instance variable. If you see that instance equal to null, that is nothing but a private. I mean, it is not defined with self dot instance, correct? So it is having a underscore instance equal to null. So this is private variable to this configuration manager class. Okay, so we use this variable to maintain how many to maintain the reference of the instance which is created for this particular configuration manager class. Okay, this is the first key component. The second key component is the constructor. Okay, now if you look at this constructor underscore new, what it says that it first check the instance variable to see whether it has got some value, some reference to the instance object. If it is not there, then it will try to create the instance of the class configuration manager. Okay, so you can see that super configuration manager dot underscore new cls. Okay, so this particular statement is used to create a new object, and then it returns the object so that the init method will get called. Okay, so these are the two. I mean, I'll explain you when we will see the practical, but just consider these are the two component of the singleton design pattern. One is your private variable, and the second one is constructor, which checks if there's any existent instance available in your instance available for this particular configuration manager class. If it is there, then it won't be creating the it won't be creating the new instance. Instead, it will return the existing instance of the object with the help of this return statement, return cls dot instance. Okay, now let us switch back to practical part. Okay, now here if you see, I've used the same example which I put it in the slide. So here if you see, there's a class configuration manager. Okay, now as I was saying that this is a private variable, instance equal to null. Okay, now what we are doing, we write a new method. Okay, see, look, new method is used to create the object, create the instance of your class. Okay, so we use this new method, and then we put a additional check. What we say that if this private instance variable is null or having some kind of value in it. So in the first instance, what will happen? So this is assigned with none, so this is none. Okay, in case of none, it will create an instance of this class. Okay, and then it will return that instance. Okay, now consider a scenario. Okay, now in this first case, what it will do, it will see, since the instance variable was having null, so it will create a instance and return the instance to call the init method. Okay, but in case of second time, if somebody want to create a object for this configuration manager, so what it does, it again it check whether the class instance variable, okay, is having some kind of value in it or not. It must be having, because if you see, I mean, the previous object declaration, we have already assigned the a instance variable, this class instance variable, to the reference of new object. Okay, so it is not a null value. So then what it will do, it will return the existing instance reference. So configuration 2 will get the existing reference to the object. Okay, similarly for the configuration 3 object also will be having the same instance. Okay, now if I try to print these three, so all these three should be having a single reference. Okay, and thereafter I'm trying to just compare configuration 1 with the configuration 2. So let us run and check what exactly it gives. Okay, now if you see, I mean, these three print statement, it gives the reference to the same object. So at the first configuration 1, it create a object and send the reference. Okay, in the second one, what it does, it checks whether the instance is already available or not. Since it is available, then what it does, it return the first instance reference. Okay, so the second reference, I mean, the for this configuration manager 2 object, the reference is again the same. Okay, similarly for the third one as well, the reference is same. Okay, and then while we were trying to compare the object 1 with the object 2, we get true value. I hope you understood this. In case if you have any doubt, just put it in the comment statement, and then we will take those comment, and maybe we can answer or give solution to all your problems there itself. Thank you, and please do not forget to subscribe this channel. And if you like this video, please do like and hit the notification button. Thank you. Bye.